So I joined this new guild. It's called Death by Chocolate.
Whoa, wait a minute. You're going to give the name of the guild?
I actually got permission from the guild leader. I wasn't going to use it in the podcast without asking first.
All right, because I would think that if you gave their name and let the whole world know that they actually invited you to the guild, they'd have to boot you immediately.
They're a great group of people. They're awesome.
How casual are these people that they have you in the guild? I got to meet these people because that's pretty casual.
I told them, They got Mrs. Mack in there, and they're starting to get used to some of my smart aleck comments that just come out like Tourette's.
When it comes to guilds, I kind of have a firm policy about that. I refuse to be a member of any club whose membership rules are so lax that they would accept someone of my skill level. Yeah. Their standards just aren't high enough for me.
You're listening to the Goblin Goldcast with Dex and Mac. I got mouths to feed, so let's get this thing started. Time is money, friend.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, Azeroth. You're listening to the Goblin Goldcast, your guide to making gold in World of Warcraft. This is episode 33. I'm your host, Dex, coming to you from Napa, California. With me on Skype is my co-host, Mac, from Anchorage, Alaska, a man whose superpower is making people laugh, which would be great if he was actually trying to do that. How you doing, Mac?
It's a funny look about me. This is why Mrs. Mack dresses me.
Yeah, that's not why. That's really not why.
She's awesome and lays out my clothes for me every day because she's seen what I wear if I'm left to my own devices.
Right.
I've got to be seen with you.
It never ceases to amaze me how a man can be a bachelor for so many years and do all these things, ourselves, and all of a sudden we get married and it's like, yeah, I guess I can't do that for myself. And then later it becomes, damn it, I don't even remember how to do that for myself anymore. I used to do all these things, and I haven't done them in so many years. And I think that's by design. I think that's how they get us.
Well, I think she saw me doing laundry once, and like,
wow, I've seen you do laundry before, and I can definitely see her point on that.
She won't let me touch it, man. And then, then I was, back when I used to wear a suit and tie to work every day, I'd send my dress shirts off to the cleaners, and back then it was like a buck a shirt to get them pressed or whatever, and I'd do my 30 days worth, bring them home and wear one at a time, and a couple days before I started running out, I'd run them all back in there, they could press them. And she's like, I can press them. You don't need to spend a buck a shirt. There's $30 a month we're spending on shirts. It's like, all right.
Yeah, it's like you've got your hot water wash and your cold water wash, and I'll just put them all together in one wash, and I'll go warm. I'll meet it somewhere in the middle, and it'll be fine. But,
I think last time I tried to help out with the laundry, I shrank one of her sweaters, and I've got to reinforce that fact that I'm not supposed to touch the laundry every once in a while.
Yeah, I was going to say that was tactical. That was tactical. Let me tell you something. I know that for a fact. My wife does things like that. There are certain things that she doesn't want to do, and every once in a while she'll volunteer to do it just to show me what a horrible job she's going to do of it, so that I won't ever ask her to do it again.
Oh, and for those that are wondering, Mrs. Mack is doing fine. She does want me to correct myself from last week's podcast.
Oh, the correction segment. We're back to that.
I mentioned last week, and I don't know why, that it was her thumb that got nailed, and it wasn't. It was her first finger, and I don't know why I said thumb. I knew it wasn't her thumb.
That's your attention to detail. I mean,
in my defense, she's got real short fingers, and they're all about thumb size.
I don't think you pay any. You were so concerned with her well-being that you didn't even notice what digit it was.
Well, it was wrapped in a towel, then.
Yeah. You didn't even pay attention to which digit you pulled out of the blender to bring to the hospital to get reattached. It's like, oh no, it's not the one with the ring on it, so it's not a ring finger. This week, Mac thought it would be fun to give unsolicited advice to random posters on the various WoW forums. I agreed to go along with it as long as he promised that we would never do it again. Unfortunately for all of you, he refused to make that promise.
Okay.
However, if this segment proves to be popular, it was all my idea. I can't see how well it performs and then edit it later to see whose idea it was, can I?
Oh, I'm one of those people that I hear a conversation going in the background. Sometimes you just can't help but hear somebody talking about it, and it's like, dude, you should have said this.
They're calling the police on you. Just this random guy.
He stuck his head in our window. I don't.
You ever do that though? You'd be in public and you'll overhear two people talk, and it'd be like, "Hey, I know the answer to that," and clearly neither one of the two of them do. And it's like, and you speak up, and they don't appreciate it. They look at you like, "Would you just crawl back under the rock that you came out from under?" And you were really helpful. You were like, "Dude, yeah, you should totally divorce her." But anyway.
No. I'm real bad. I am completely unfiltered sometimes in public, and some of the things I say, Mrs. Mack, we're in getting groceries at the grocery store, and something will strike me as funny, and I'll say it, and usually she's sitting there going, "It's not funny," and the cashier and a couple of people lying behind me are thinking it's funny, but and laughing, but it's just embarrassed Mrs. Mack. So
yeah, well,
it's a special gift I have.
It's. Well, I actually consider that to be a bonus. If I embarrass my wife out in public, with something that I say, and it makes her feel like that she can't bring me out in public anymore, I don't have to go next time.
Oh, I think I claim it's a God-given gift, and I think my wife says it comes from the other realm. So
I just I don't know. Sometimes they think we're children. They treat us like children, and I go along, man.
I could use a good spanking now and then.
I can. Whoa. There goes our rating again.
Yeah, we can edit that out.
I have to edit that out. Yeah, like hell, I'm going to edit that out. Mrs. Mack. He says he likes a good spanking. So, there we are.
I don't know why that popped out. It just did. That filter thing.
I can actually cut and paste and make it like he said it like 5 times if I wanted to.
Don't do that.
He keeps bringing it up throughout the podcast. Why do you keep bringing that up over and over again,
Oh, my word.
Well, before we get into what's going to have to pass for the meat of today's show, did we have any viewer feedback that we need to cover?
We did. We got an email from on last week's show. I'll read it. It's a little longer one, but I think we can stumble through it, and we got time.
Okay, we do.
Let's see if I've got rented lips. We'll see if this works. Okay. It says, "Hey Matt, I thought I would comment on a few things first. First off, love the show. You're both hilarious. Well, thank you. Been listening for some time. Heard about it on Roe's Realm Maintenance show very early on. Now I'm a weekly listener, and we like to thank Roe. Anytime he mentions us, he kind of gave us our head start over here. So we do appreciate Roe on Realm Maintenance. He's got a great program over there.
He does get a lot of people to listen to us, and then they come over, they listen, they go, oh, yeah, okay, never mind.
I thought it was something completely different.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to give good advice. Yeah. Anyway, so regarding the giving back portion, I was on the receiving end of this a few times. I thought I would first share back in BC. I was making gold as hard, and epic flying was a fortune at 5K. A fellow player gave me 5K and said, no need to pay it back, just pay it forward sometimes when you can. I have in many ways since, but still remember that almost 10 years later, that kindness is rarely seen on the internet, and it amazes me. The second time was just a few weeks ago, when tokens were made usable for BattleNet balance. I bought a few for a transfer that I had been intending to do for a while and paid a high price for it, not like the 115K they maxed out at, but still not the 30K they once were.
Right.
Due to this, my liquid gold was a little lower than normal, as I'm a more casual gold maker and don't have the millions of some. I knew I'd make it back, and have since, but a few days after, while posting auctions, I noticed a guy looking for a port to Old Dalaran. After finishing up, he was still looking, so I messaged him, said I would hop tunes and port him. gave him my mage's name, and switched. When I popped the port up, he traded me, gave me $20K as a tip. I was expecting nothing and told him so. And he said, it's all good. I made a few million back while the tokens were high priced. As I have a good job, I wanted to give some back. He said in real life, he gives charity a lot. And think here, if I have it, it should be no different. I said thanks, and it came at a great time as I was on the other end and had bought some for gold. A few minutes later, back on my main, he was asking again for something to be made by a leather worker, thinking I was helping him for his kindness again, expecting nothing. I said to him, I can make it since you helped me out, no charge. I have the mat, so here, keep it. He kept his mats, but instead again put another $20K tip. I have since made back much more than I initially, with some tips from you, both along. That's easy for me to say. I have since made back much more than I had initially, with some tips from you both, along with many others I follow. Again, the kindness is rare out there, but I pay it forward in smaller ways when I can, and think it's great that you brought it up. Last, regarding liquid gold. The percent due to a smaller amount of gold I have, I usually try to keep around 50% liquid. This comes from playing the auction house a little, and things can tend to be spendy, resulting in a larger percentage of my gold being tied up. The way I manage myself, so to speak, is on what I have as play gold, air quotes, is using my bank alt as a dump. Knowing his gold only is to be used for flipping purchase and keeping my gold on my other tunes as either the once in a blue moon gold chances or just for everyday living expenses, which as a raider can be up to $20K a week for all the consumables. Again, thanks again for what you do. Love the show. Keep it up. Narda the Rogue. Well, thank you very much.
Yep.
There was also a PS. It's too late now, but the Spectral Moose is limited, so to speak, as the archaeology quest, which changes every 2 weeks, is available for that time, which you might is only available for that time. You might get 14 days from picking up the quest. Unsure on this. The quest on the first one, when Legion launched and just came back around to the rotation, which is Ragnar thought you'd like to know. And for Dex, your level 1 archaeology works also, so hope you both got it in time. Yeah. And as I mentioned this in a letter that I wrote back to him, an email I wrote back to him, yes, I did find out about it, that it was a short time and a rotation just before it ended. I was able to get my moose and notified Dex in a timely manner right after the quest ended.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Did you get your moose?
No, I didn't get my moose. It's hanging out with my legendary somewhere. It's
not a flying mount, so, Yeah.
Which, you know what, I don't understand that. I know I said this to you already off the air, but I don't get that. This is a recolor of another mount that's already been in the game for a while that I have, and that one flies, and so you get the flying animation, what there is of it. There's no reason to me for it to not be a flying mount. I mean, if somebody can help me out on that and make me understand why in the world they would put that limitation on something that the original color doesn't have that limitation, I don't. It doesn't make sense. Do you get that?
Maybe they're going to change it when 7.2 and flying becomes available. I don't.
Well,
know.
No. Of course it doesn't work in Legion right now.
No, but it doesn't work in the old world either.
Right. I mean, I understand that, but I mean, none of the flying mounts will work in Legion right now, and you don't have to have it coded as such. It's just in general, nothing. Flying isn't active yet.
Right. Well, this week we can. I don't know. I would love to be able to give an explanation. Maybe Blizzard will contact us and let us know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like that's gonna happen.
Oh, wait. My bat phone is lighting up. It's the direct line I have to Blizzard, and let me find now. I'll get right on that. Oh man.
And then I got all excited about making gold this week. This is a different thing. I'm changing subjects. I do that from time to time. I'm a little ADD.
That's okay. You were struggling with the last one, so hopefully this one will go better. I was going to get you hooked on phonics in a minute, but
there we go. They have that Well, I've been making that Sky Golem every month, and making a living steel and stuff like that. So
Right.
I saw someone mention something about that depleted Kyperium rocket mount.
Right.
I started looking at it on the Undermine Journal, and on our server they sell for about 100K, and it uses 15 of the living steel. And I was like, oh, 100K. I went and looked on the auction house, and there weren't any of them for sale.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, cool. And I went over and, you got to have Goblin Engineering, which I hadn't started doing on my tune on that server. So I went over and did the Goblin Engineering, got the
Schematic.
got the schematic to make that. And
You're thinking, that's easy. Right?
yeah, it's like cool. There's like there's a few items you have to get. I had most of the items.
A couple little vendor items you had to pick up.
Yeah, there was three vendor items you had to buy. I went over, found the vendor. That was the last thing I went to do, was to go find the vendor. He walks around, roams around out there in the in Pandaria, just below the in the Valley of the Eternal Blossoms, right? Anyways, I went down there and found him, right-clicked on him to go buy the items, and it's like, Jiminy Christmas, these things are 20K each. I need 3 of them, so it's like 60K. Well, I've already, in for $1, So I went over.
How much did you sell it for?
I have not sold it. I haven't sold it yet. Anyways, I went and I bought the 3 items. It's like, okay, something I never would have done, 6 months ago, but I've got lots of gold that just burning a hole in my purse. So I bought them, went to go put them back in the auction house, and noticed the hyphen in the name of the item.
Yeah.
And put that in. There's like 6 people that have it up. They're all at they're just a little under 100K each. But where I was thinking I was going to be the only game in town, now I'm playing a pricing war with several other people. And I'm not going to sell it at a loss, but I'll stick to the Sky Golem.
Well, hopefully you can break even.
Yeah, I'm going to break even, or I'll end up putting it in my my stable.
Oh man,
be another mount I don't ever use. Expensive mistakes.
Yeah, this one, you'll have one of those. You have one of those misses to talk about when we talk about the hits and the misses. The big scores and the big letdowns. And this just it gives you a story.
Yeah, well, it lets me know I need to do a little more research instead of just looking things up. I should have probably checked the price of those mats.
See, I forget that you haven't made any of the jewel crafting panthers, and you haven't made the choppers or anything like that. The choppers were the first ones, I believe, that had any of those expensive vendor materials that you had to buy.
Right, and, I never did make one of the choppers.
Yeah, no, I remember when I made mine. Back in the day, they had goblins used to get that discount. Best prices anywhere, or best deals anywhere, whatever they called it, which was an awesome racial to have. And of course, they took that away because people whined. Because evidently everybody, fair. Yeah, it wasn't fair, because evidently not everybody had access to make a goblin. Only some people were able to make goblins. No, that's not true. Oh wait, maybe it was fair. Anyway, so they took that away. A few people had to moan and complain and ruin it for everybody. And but while that was in effect, I did buy a lot of the those vendor bought mats at the discounted price, and so I was able to make them a lot cheaper than a lot of other people later on. But I remember that was first time I made one of those. Of course I knew I wanted one, so it was a little different for me, because I wasn't worried about if I sold it or not. If I wasn't able to sell it, I was going to keep it, and I did sell my first one though in pretty short order, and I kept my next one.
Well, as we kind of alluded to last podcast, I also joined a new guild just recently.
Yeah.
I was in an Alaska-based guild, a lot of people up here, and I'm on late at night, so I'm not, I mean, even for my time, so usually, I mean, I'm not used to seeing a lot of people on when I'm on anyways. And it was a gold making tune, so I wasn't on it very, very often anyways, and I finally decided I was going to level up for this expansion.
Right.
And again, at most nights I was noticing there's nobody on in the guild, and I finally started looking at who's offline, and most people in the guild hadn't been on in like 6 months. It's like, so I'm probably the only active player in an inactive guild. It was like, all right, I need to be able to type something and make some smart aleck comment in guild chat every once in a while.
I think isn't that how your grandson at like 4 years old became a guild leader?
Yeah,
everybody quit the guild but him, and he became the guild leader.
I think so.
It's like,
but I wasn't promoted on this one. That's yeah. They trust the 4-year-old better than they trust me. I guess.
Well, he's got mad skills. So. But anyway, back to your story.
Yeah, no. So I joined another guild, and again, I'm in a larger guild. I didn't realize it was a larger guild when I joined, and my other characters on the server I'm on are in a larger guild.
Right.
And my other guild is so large that they if you haven't been logged on in 21 days, they boot the tune to make room for more tunes. So I don't like putting all 20 alts in one guild. So I joined this new guild. It's called Death by Chocolate.
Whoa, wait a minute. You're going to give the name of the guild?
I actually got permission from the guild leader. I wasn't going to use it in the podcast without asking first.
All right, because I would think that if you gave their name and let the whole world know that they actually invited you to the guild, they'd have to boot you immediately.
They're a great group of people. They're awesome.
How casual are these people that they have you in the guild? I got to meet these people because that's pretty casual.
I told them, They got Mrs. Mack in there, and they're starting to get used to some of my smart aleck comments that just come out like Tourette's.
When it comes to guilds, I kind of have a firm policy about that. I refuse to be a member of any club whose membership rules are so lax that they would accept someone of my skill level. Yeah. Their standards just aren't high enough for me.
Oh, they helped me. I just mentioned it the other day. I still had to do the Court of Stars to continue on with that the Legion Pathfinding.
Right.
And they brought me in there, and I'd never been in before. First time in there. And so they're running me through, and there's a portion where I guess one of the mechanics is they're supposed to shut off these 3 pillars, or you get extra ads that come in and join the party. And I was on my DK, and my DK, I've got that AoE and the little blast that goes out, and Howling Blast.
Right.
And it'll occasionally grab mobs that are unintended. So I always try to, once we pull the mob, face away from the direction we're moving to face back into the dungeon, so I'm not pulling any extra guests.
Or you could change your rotation, but anyway, go ahead.
Well, there is that, yeah. So anyways, we hadn't shut one of them off, and I didn't know the mechanic, and so we were getting lots of friends. I played Dirt Nap over and over and over. Apparently I was getting lots of aggro that was unintended, and I thought it was all my fault, and I was apologizing profusely until we realized that we missed a mechanic. And
see, popularity can be rough sometimes. Making friends everywhere you go.
Oh, it was bad. Yeah, no, it was. They carried me through, and they're awesome. Really enjoyed the guild. I'm having fun with them.
You say that they carried me through. You say that like it's the first time that's happened. I mean, it's every time you join a group, you're like, "Hey, anybody want to carry me through some content?" No, I'm kidding.
I pointed out right off the bat, hey, I'm a gold maker. I don't do a lot of dungeon crawling. But
translation, I only slaughter mobs that are like 20 levels or more below me. I'm geared for that.
Oh no! I have a decent gear score. It was funny because we were going through with the druid tank, who's actually really good, but I was getting enough aggro with the DPS that every time he would get stunned, I would develop friends really quickly, and then I would just go splat.
Do you ever find that when you give people your gear score, that they ask you the same question? Isn't that supposed to be 3 digits? Because I get that a lot. They're like, oh, you're forgetting a digit. I'm like, I don't think
Not
so.
really, yeah.
It says 97.
No, they were awesome. They like I said, they carried me through. We were able to finish it, and
Yeah. I'm sure you
really
were a big help.
Yeah. Don't do that. Oh, you shouldn't have hit him there.
Yeah.
That's just gonna make him mad.
You're the guy in the back pushing the lunch cart. I got you guys later, man. We're all set. Carrying somebody's shield.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, it was bad.
Yeah.
Anyways, that got me through it. Thanks, guys. Death by Chocolate, awesome guild. Love you guys.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to meet these guys and find out who's willing to put up with you for any length of time on. You guys actually you get on like a voice chat.
We do. They've got a Discord, and I won't give that out because that's for guild use only. But
right.
they're on a Discord. And it really is him. Yeah.
As long as they force you to go on push to talk.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
They don't want to hear the all the nonsense that goes on in the background here. Stumbling around my office in the middle of the night.
Well, I think you found some. You did find some forum posts of some unsuspecting people who don't really want our advice, but they're going to get it anyway.
Well, yeah, it was. I read the forums, both the WoW forums and some of the other forums, the WoW economy and stuff like that. Every once in a while, I'll find a post that they need to hear from me, and
Except for that they'll never hear it because
they never. We don't have enough listeners yet.
Right,
no. Anyways, one of them I saw today, and again, I won't name names because they didn't write in.
Right.
But it's like, you ever have a moment of running into somebody who should just mind their own business? Today I got called a tard because my paladin is a skinner. I have every other profession covered by alts, and I just wanted another skinner. What's wrong with that? For me, my thought was I don't see anything wrong with that. That's a great way to be a skinner. I mean, especially you play protection or ret, drag all these mobs into you, slay them all there, drop them right down in front of you. Hey, you just got a production line going.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sorry. I gotta take the other side of that. I mean, you're a paladin. You wear plate. I mean, come on. No, I'm just kidding. You're like, that's not what you said in the show prep. What show prep?
It's harder for the mobs to chew through your armor that way, right?
You know what? When I first started playing the game, my very first tune was a hunter, and I didn't know what professions I should do. I'd actually been playing for a few days before I really even started looking at professions and worrying about that. And everything I read said the same thing. If you're a hunter, you should be a skinner and a leather worker. And nothing else makes sense. And, that's what I read everywhere. So that's what I did. I didn't keep either one of those. I ended up changing both of those professions. And I actually regretted starting with them because they didn't work for what I wanted to do. And on this show, one thing that we talk about quite a bit is supply and demand. These people that are telling you how to play.
You've got to role play it. A paladin wouldn't be a skinner. Well,
Yeah. I mean, you're going to have all kinds of these people telling you how to play. Everybody's going to have an opinion, and it's not going to be just that they're saying, hey, this is the best way to play. They're going to be saying this is the only way to play, and it's going to be about professions. It's going to be about what to do in a dungeon or how to play a certain class or what race you should choose for what class. Whether you should play Horde or Alliance. Well, actually, they're right about that one. But they're gonna have all these opinions about which thing you should do, and it's supply and demand. There is an endless supply of jerks that are going to tell you how to play the game, and there's absolutely no demand for their opinion. So this is one of those situations to where supply outstrips demand by so much that it's completely worthless, so you're free to ignore it. I wouldn't let anybody tell me how to play. It's not going to be just limited to what professions with what class. There is no end to it. I'm willing to bet that you can find somebody that'll tell you that your tune has the wrong hairstyle.
The mullet's been out for years. What's wrong with you? Yeah.
There's no shortage. Just ignore them.
For me, for my gatherer types, I like to have something that's not quite so squishy, that I can sit there and walk in, gather up a bunch of mobs, drop a bunch of mobs, and then just sit and skin up this pile of mobs at your feet, or go up, do herbalism like I do it on my bear tank. Run around, grab herbs and stuff like that. If I get a little extra attention, I'm not worried about I'm a clothy, I'm going to go squish.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and keep in mind too that when you're talking about professions, his specific thing that he ran into, if we're going to be real specific about that, about that you've got the wrong profession for your class, they may be coming from the point of view of, oh, well, you're playing one tune. They might be thinking along the lines of that. There are plenty of people out there that play one tune and one tune only. This guy says already, hey, I've got other alts. I've got, I've got my professions all covered except for these. He wants to have every profession, which 100% makes sense. From a gold making standpoint, that's important actually, because you never know when one profession's going to get a nice boost by a patch that comes on the game or something. And it's good to have multiples of certain professions like alchemy for the cooldowns, and maybe tailoring for the same reason.
Right.
But you really want to have at least one of each if you're running a lot of alts. And the person that he talked to is clearly not thinking about that. If we had a situation to where the only worthwhile things to make by the profession were bind on pickup, then yeah, making something that you can neither trade nor use would be silly. And I'd be right there with him on that doesn't really make sense for you to make something that is completely worthless to you. But that's clearly not the case. And actually, even if that were the case, I certainly wouldn't be the guy in there saying, hey, you're doing it wrong. It's, be wary of that. And, you're going to run into that in life, It's every time I get behind the wheel, I get some jerk that's trying to tell me that the way that I'm driving is wrong. It says one way.
I just wish they'd turn off those flashing lights on the roof, when they're trying to explain it to me.
Yeah. Everybody's got an opinion. They want to tell you what to do, from the time that you're born. Make your bed, clean your room, don't drive on the railroad tracks, There's always somebody that's going to have something to tell you. Just ignore it. Except for the railroad tracks thing. Pay attention to that.
Stay off the tracks.
Stay off the tracks, yeah.
Another one, and again, I read the forums, and when I'm reading them, sometimes these things just stick out, and they just, for me, I find they're funny. And one of them, another one I saw today was, so-and-so has looted blank and proceeds to get fluttered with whispers from random strangers asking if they can have blank item. This has become the norm in LFR. People see that you get a drop, and instantly you get drowned in whispers from strangers in LFR wanting you to give them the item.
Right.
A lot of the people are pushy and downright rude. They'll barrage you until you respond to them. I don't mind giving away a drop to random people if it isn't an upgrade for me. If I want to give away the item, I'll open chat, and if anyone wants it or needs it, if multiple people do, I'd like them to roll for it to be fair as possible. I just don't want to deal with trying to reply to a barrage of private messages individually while I'm trying to fulfill my role as DPS, healer, or tank. The worst offenders are the guys that constantly try to open the trade window with you while you're in combat.
You know what I think would be really cool? I think it'd be really cool is if you won the lotto, won millions of dollars. For a couple of weeks above your head, there were neon words, right above your head that says, "I just won the lotto," Well,
the reason why this one was the last paragraph in there is the only solution I can see for this issue is to make our personal loot drop notifications only visible to ourselves in LFR. Yeah. There's honestly no reason why 24 other strangers need to see what I personally looted anyways. People act as though they're entitled to your item drops. It's kind of ridiculous and are very annoying, especially when some of these people get downright abusive or hostile if you ignore them or deny them the item. Has anyone experienced this or noticed the rampant outbreak of this trend in the past month?
I haven't dealt with it that much in the way that he's talking about specifically, but I couldn't possibly agree more. This guy's got it right on. There is, I mean, unless somebody can point out to me, I fail to see any reason that it's anybody's business on personal loot what you got.
If I'm in a raid with people I group with that are guild members or something like that, yeah, I've got no problem. This is for the good of the guild or whatever. It's a better item that I don't need. I don't have a problem with it.
Right, but the fact that it's broadcast out is what I take issue with. I mean, because let's get real. I really don't want to frickin' know that Mac looted yet another legendary. Do I really need to know that? I mean, do you really have to rub it in my face that he got another legendary? I mean, I for one don't want to know unless he can put it in the trade window, and then maybe we can.
That reminded me.
Oh,
I was I was in the guild with the guys the other day, and we're talking, and I'm on my monk. I said I brought my monk over there, and I said, this is my only 110 that doesn't have a legendary. We're talking about it. We're laughing about because some of them actually listen to the podcast, and they were joking about it. And I'm doing my world quest. And all of a sudden, bing! I got another legendary, and they just started laughing. I said, I got to talk about this on the podcast. It was like, this isn't just something we talk about.
Yeah, up to that point, they thought it was a comedy bit. Now they're like, he's absolutely right. I can feel Dex's pain a little bit.
You do have a lucky horse you shoved up your...
Yeah. It's without a doubt. I mean... This is no joke.
They were chuckling with me when I told them, hold on a second while I send Dex a text.
Yeah, I saw the text. I pretended like I was sleeping.
I have to get a second one with him now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I know you need a trophy case, don't you?
I know. I want a little legendary trophy case. And what is this Blizzard with only being able to have 2 of the legendaries? I'd like to be able to wear more.
Yeah, well, most of us don't have a problem bumping up against that limitation, so...
the threshold's just unfair, and I'm going to complain about it.
Unfair.
If you're going to make them this easy to get, doggummit.
Oh, yeah, and you know what got us started on this? The guy that made the forum post talking about people who feel like they're entitled. I'm hearing a little bit of entitlement in your voice. Just a little bit, Gimme.
Well, they gave me.
Come on, give me your best wine. That's not fair.
It's not fair.
Yeah.
Anyways,
man, you do that well. That is a practiced thing. It's skill.
They did also. I was talking to them, and they gave me a little information this week. Inscription again, like Lacey said, Tome of the Clear Mind. I'm still making bank on that.
Yeah.
Potions of prolonged power are making great gold, and ancient healing potions are still making fantastic gold in the auction house.
Yep.
So now that we mention it in the podcast, the prices will no.
Well, speaking of which, the last one that not the last one, the next to last one that we have on our list here, there was a post that said, what gold farm got most ruined by the general public finding out by word of mouth or a popular YouTuber? The guy wants to know, hey, what was really great that some idiot out there had to ruin? Idiot's my word, not his. And
don't say idiots and say sky golems.
Yeah. Well,
just have a lot more competition now.
But in my opinion, the one that was the most profitable that clearly got ruined by somebody opening their mouth was the one that I'm about to reveal for the first time right now. Just kidding. Everyone's like, ooh, let me write this down.
Yeah. I had my pen already.
Yeah, But No. Seriously though, I'm not really with you on this one. I feel like that. I feel like that the YouTubers and all the various different content creators and people that make posts on the various forums, whatever, or just telling their friends about ways to make gold. This is a thing that's always going to happen, and ways to make gold are not permanent. It's always going to be shifting and changing. It's like it's like if somebody decides which profession that they want to have because it's the flavor of the month. Well, that's fine. Be prepared that's going to change later. You can't get too locked into one way of making gold. If that's what you learn and that's all you can learn, you're going to make a lot of gold for a short period of time, and then it's going to be over and you'll have nothing. You got to be able to adapt. You got to be able to recognize that, okay, this doesn't work anymore. Now I got to try something else. And before you start complaining about that somebody ruined a way to make gold out there, remember that you heard it from somebody. Unless you're like this, savant
in the
this
game.
Great experimental person that goes out there and tries all these different things, and you're the first person that discovers all these things. I can only think of a few gold making methods that I discovered just by chance without learning it from someone else somewhere along the line. Most of the ways that I've made gold, someone was doing it before me for sure. And that's going to be true for most of us. I just don't see a complaint there. What do you think?
No, you just got to be fluid when things change. I mean, and I was joking a little bit about the Sky Golem thing. There is a lot more competition now. I see a lot more people at that Half Hill forum now than when the expansion first started. I would see one or two people out there, going over towards the forum. Now I know they're doing it because I see guys out there dropping down their little portable forge and anvil and knocking it down there and smelting up their ghost iron that they're getting out of the farm out there. So
right.
I know people are using it, and but that's fine. I mean,
yeah,
there's just more competition, and when it becomes unprofitable, people will move on to do other things.
Right.
And then it'll become profitable again.
It's an ongoing cycle. It happens all the time. There's no reason to get upset about it. In fact, there is a YouTuber, a really great content creator. I'm not going to mention them by name in this regard. A lot of people are going to know who I'm talking about, though, who actually was struggling for a little while. Somebody that has produced all kinds of great information that I personally benefited from. I know Max benefited from this guy.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of people have made a nice little fortune just based on his tips alone. And he actually went through a little bit of a crisis of wondering if he should keep going and continue on with it, because quite frankly, he was getting a lot of flack, maybe even what you would consider hate mail, and comments in the comment section of his videos where people were saying, "Yeah, thanks a lot, man. You ruined my spot. Now it sucks here. It's overcrowded with people." And he was taking it to heart a little bit and thinking, "Wow, I don't want to. That's not why I'm doing this. I'm not trying to screw things up for anybody." He's a guy with a good heart and everything, and just trying to help out. And he let it get to him and made him feel like that he was doing a bad thing.
And they just need to learn to move along and find other ways. There are other ways.
Yeah. It's not like you're the guy on the corner with the hot dog cart, selling hot dogs, and the next day there's 20 more people beside you selling hot dogs. I mean, you can easily go and make gold some other way. You don't have, you didn't invest that much in the cart, right? It's so I don't know. That's my take on that. And I think the only thing we had left was you wanted to talk about. There's a lot of complaints about the grind in the game, I think you'd said.
Oh, I've been hearing that a lot lately. It is, and yeah, the game is a little grindier now. But they're just fine. Try something else. I mean,
well, people are going to complain either way. They're either going to say there's nothing to do, or they're just going to say there's, like in the case of right now, where there's an abundance of content, there's too much to do. I can't handle it. There's not enough time to do it all. And it's so funny to hear, back these complaints back to back. I love it. In the last expansion, the previous expansion, we heard about a lack of content and too long in the patch, before something new. Nothing to do. There's no content. Nothing to do. And then we went from that to I choose to believe that it's the same exact people saying there's too much to do now. In my mind, it's the same people.
Yeah, there is a lot of grind to it, and I admit that. There's certain aspects of it, there's a lot of grind to it, but the things that they've added in to take away from the grind.
Yeah.
I had 3 artifact weapons that I've because I've got my research level where it's at, 3 artifact weapons on my druid that I've just about got capped out now. So I mean it was pretty easy to do.
Well, remember, WoW is sandboxy enough that you can really do what you want to do. I mean, if you chose to do it, you could just log in and just do pet battles and nothing else, or just go in and do battlegrounds, PvP, battlegrounds, and nothing else. There are plenty of things that you could concentrate on. You can go a lot of different directions. There is nobody in there putting a gun to your head saying you have to do this particular grind.
Right.
You can go and you can do something else. Well, I think that's going to about wrap up this week's show. I'd like to thank Schaefer Bates for his awesome work as the Goblin voice at the beginning of each show. Also, Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com for the theme music Hot Rock, licensed to us under Creative Commons.
And if you'd like to contact us, you can get a hold of us at Mac, that's M-A-C, at GoblinGoldcast.com, or Dex, that's D-E-X, at GoblinGoldcast.com. We have an alternate email. It's MacGoblinGoldcast at gmail.com. You can contact us on Twitter at GoblinGoldcast, or you can visit us on Facebook.
And don't forget to visit the swag store at cafepress.com/Goblin Goldcast. And you can leave us a voicemail on our website, GoblinGoldcast.com. And please subscribe to us on iTunes or Stitcher if you listen to us there.
And we'll see you next week.
Now go make some gold.
Tell you are by far the most interesting single-serving friend I've ever met. See, I have this thing, everything on a plane is single-serving, even the...
Oh, I get it. It's very clever.
Oh, thank you.
How's that working out for you?
What?
Being clever.
Great.
Keep it up, then.